I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the
Tank. I
tank.
am the tank. Big
Big
tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I need a fucking shave, guys. You know, I got a little bit of fucking out there. So yeah, happy birthday to Tank. Happy birthday to you. So
Oh, that's awesome, Val. Thank you.
you're welcome. Some
All
people
right,
think,
we have the thumbs up. He's screen recording. Are you ready?
I hope you missed that bit. Yes.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another special birthday episode of Big Tank Talk. And it's a special birthday episode because today is my birthday. As my very special guest today, I'm bringing back for an encore interview my dear friend, Gangster Granny. Val, welcome back to Big Tank Talk.
Thank you. Tank, I think, maybe, sort of.
Now, as always, we start them with tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be on Clapper.
How did I come to be on Clapper? Okay, so I actually started out on TikTok a lot of years ago. Absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I started out on TikTok, and what we were doing was letting other people see what it's like for someone to actually die, because I saw a lot of carers that were crying about how hard their life was. I'm not going to deny it was not fucking easy by a long shot. But for me, it's more about the person that's dying. So I spent time talking to my husband, my late husband, obviously, and we'd said, "Shall we do this?" And he agreed to let people see what it was like for a person to die. And we started out on TikTok, and
Go ahead, Val.
um,
We'll get to the question.
do you know what? I need to remove the comments away. So yeah, TikTok, unfortunately, they've got all their bans and everything else, and you couldn't breathe over there without getting a ban. So someone had mentioned Clapper, which is, for me, it'll be 6 years come October, and I've never looked back. I've absolutely never looked back, and yeah, people got to watch him die, and I brought a few people with me.
And
Bugs, Paul.
interestingly, we started on Clapper right about the same time, but we didn't meet for a couple of years after we both were here. But I'm glad
That's
of
quite true.
now. Before I get to Paul's question, I put a lot of thought into this question. I want your take on the fact that that there was a Canadian Irishman playing a Scottish chief engineer on Star Trek.
Beat me up, Scotty. Yeah. He was of Scottish descent. I'm kind of glad to say, and he did a very good fucking Scottish accent. Even although I get told occasionally that mine is fake, and I'm like, since fucking when? I was born and raised in Scotland, So yeah.
Now, I did know he was of Scottish descent, but if you look in his bio, it'll tell you he's a Canadian-born Irishman
Yeah.
because that's where his immediate family came from. But I
Yeah.
had to start with that. Now we'll get to Paul's question. He wants to know why was popcorn so relevant on TikTok?
It wasn't popcorn. I'm quite sure it was bloody well Maltesers. Maltesers are real. Do we really need to talk about that converse? Oh, God's sake. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Paul, you dick. Wait, whoa. Why was the popcorn? Okay. Okay, the pop. Okay, the popcorn. Michael, when Michael was he suffered from seizures, and he'd take what was like mini strokes, and they call them TIAs over here, and he would have these when like just sitting. During those times, he didn't want to be seen on camera at that time, and my son had come in one day and handed over popcorn, and I was like, "What's this for?" And we would sit on the sofa in front of in the live and have eat the popcorn and watch him, just waiting for him to pop his clogs. So, you know what? I've forgotten about that. Thank you for the reminder. And yeah, so every now and again, you would hear Michael say, "It's not popcorn time yet." Yeah, so you just left the popcorn behind.
All right. Peter asks, how many social media platforms do you use?
I do have Facebook, but I don't actually use Facebook. I Instagram and TikTok, and mainly Clapper, to be honest. So yeah.
Oh, she also does use WhatsApp, but that's another thing.
Yeah, I do use WhatsApp. I use Snap, but it's for Snap. I really, 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 really need to know the person before I let anybody on with my Snap. And
All right.
special people get my WhatsApp.
Jimmy says, how many OnlyFans accounts do you actually have?
Well, apparently one. And I say apparently because I didn't get to see about it. Someone else had actually come across Gangster Granny on the OnlyFans, and people went in actually thinking it was me. And it was like a 25, 26-year-old who was just
Right.
using my name on OnlyFans, but the account got taken down. So, because someone
Okay.
had gone in, realized it wasn't me, and said, "You can't fucking do that."
So
And
Paul's question didn't get pinned, but I'm going to ask. He wants to know, how long ago did you find out Maltesers were real?
okay, so the Maltesers incident, yeah. We were on TikTok, and I decided to have an open box, and these two Nigerians had gotten into the box, and they were very young. They were 20 and 22 years old. And obviously, lighting over there seems to be an issue. So they'd shaved their heads, and this light bulb would swing back and forward. The chat was going really well because there was like 200-300 people in there, and the conversation was all the same. And in the middle of this conversation, and you can imagine the chat rolling quite fast, there was this message popped up from a fucking Fear the Reaper, Paul. And I scrolled back, and I was like, hold the phone. And I kept looking at this message because of what it said was, "Oh, look, Val, Maltesers are real." And I'm like, the fuck is he talking about? Like, my brain's ticking over. And I kept staring at it. And at one point, I actually looked at the box that these two little Nigerians were in. And the light comes swinging past, and all you saw was two big chocolate balls with a big smile and eyes. That was it. That was the Maltesers fucking joke. And I was like, no, no. I had to drop them out of the box because I lost it that night. I just could not keep a straight face.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Mr. Granny wants to know, what's it like being with an American?
A lot fucking harder than I thought, but just as easy. To be honest, the only issue is it doesn't matter. The men all over the world, you're all the fucking same, smelly socks and skiddy underwears, but the cultural differences. Okay, there is a slight language barrier sometimes because our first ever fight. He was on a plane heading for Idaho, and I was like, obviously here at home, and it was a very stupid statement, because he said, "I can see you're busy." Well, if you're saying you can see I'm busy, you're just telling me, you know. Whereas if he'd said, "I know you're busy," which is a completely different meaning, but he was like, "I can see you're busy." And that is a very aggressive form of communication. And I was like, so you can see I'm busy. What the fuck? So yeah, we we ended up having our actual first fight while he was on a plane, and he was getting angrier because he could not, like, send the messages because
Right.
other people on the plane were hearing them. So I was like, fine. So yeah, apart from the slight, obviously the culture difference, other than that, to be honest, there's absolutely no difference at all.
Okay. Bugs would like to know how much shelf life does. Oh, shoot, it went away. Hold on, I got to back up because I didn't get through the question. How much shelf life does Mr. Granny have left?
How many shovels have I got lined up now? Several. Hopefully about another 20. Hopefully about another 20 years. It depends on the shovels. And for anybody who wants to know what the shovel's for, the shovel's for sticking in the back of his head. I like to. Nobody can arrest me for thinking, like watching the shovel pummel the back of his head. I'm just saying.
So Peter asked, "What is stronger, American moonshine or what is that? Poochin, Irish Poochin?"
Poutine, poutine, American moonshine.
Okay.
Moonshine is way, way stronger than the poutine. I'm not quite sure what they make the moonshine from. What is it distilled from?
I don't make it, so I can't tell you specifics. Um, Ted wants to know, why do you
Corn.
speak a foreign language instead of proper American English?
One, because I'm not American, and the other is because I'm not English. From grain. Okay, there's the difference. Poutine is made from potatoes. So yeah.
Moonshine is, I know moonshine, one of the key ingredients typically is corn, uh, or different grains, but yes.
Yeah, that's another that is another shovel up against the wall there, Teddy, just so you
So,
know.
what's your favorite Scots word that has no English equivalent?
My favourite Scots word that
Yep.
has no English equivalent. Oh, do you know what? There'd probably be quite a few. I'd have to come back to that one. I'd have to actually think about what would be actually FUD.
I can come back to it if you'd like.
You do have Hogmanay, but FUD. FUD would be one of no, that does have an English equivalent. Not that people would understand it. Yeah, no, I'd have to come back to that question actually.
No problem. Does it bother you when people try to do a Scottish accent, particularly if they fail?
No, I would give them pointers, to be honest. I'm not. I'm a Fifer born and raised. But coming back here because of how I talk now. Now you ones can all hear a Scottish accent. But where I am here in Fife now, everybody is like, "Where do you come from?" I'm like, I'm a fucking Fifer. No, you're not. You didn't sound like one at all. So it's, I'm like, I fucking am. But it's because I had to learn how to speak a lot slower and actually speak proper English, which is hard, to be honest. And I do get them, intermingled sometimes. So yeah, it is hard.
I got to ask Jimmy's question now, just because I just saw it. He said, "Is Pfeiffer is the equivalent to a gnome?"
Okay, That that Pfeiffer is a name. You mean a Pfeiffer? F-I-F-E-R.
I'm sure what he meant.
Pfeiffer equivalent to. We are kind of little. I'm just saying, we are kind of little. I need to take that back slightly. In my family, I'm fucking tiny. I am absolutely and tiny. I've got three sisters that are 6 foot tall, and I've got a brother that's 6'5". I'm only 5 foot. I'm fucking minuscule in my family.
That is true. I've met Val. She ain't lying. She's tiny. Um, Now I'm a genealogist for my family. I know for you, family and family history is important, and you know your lineage pretty well. How far back can you trace your family line?
At the moment, I haven't gone back into it. At the moment, I can go back to 1096,
That's
and
impressive.
that's on the castle on um, Loch Lomond's castle, Urquhart, and the lairds that owned the castle back then. I belong from the Clan MacLaren. I'm a descendant from the Clan MacLaren. So yeah, from there at 1096, the Clan MacLaren married into the Urquharts because they were quite far apart. The MacLaren clan was quite small, and my great grandfather, who was the last of his line in the MacLarens, and he literally died the last of his line because he had all girls. There was not another boy to carry the name. Very much so.
Paul would like to know, how much do you love the King of England?
Kiss my hairy fanny, you fucking what the oh my fucking god. I've fucking thrown no, I said I was going to keep my temper in check, and it's no fucking happening now, is it? Right, come on now. You're
So
taking the fucking fish.
this question should help. Then Bugs wants to know, how's King Charles doing since he took the throne?
He's no warmed it very fucking well. I can tell you that much. That's about as far as That's the whole thing. Right, we're getting the fuck off that subject. Get to fuck. Right, get to fuck. Get to fuck. Like get to fuck. Oh, hmm. And if anybody's noticed, I'm not in favour of Charles whatsoever. William should have taken the throne, and he should have just fucking popped his clogs. So yeah, there we go.
Do they encourage him to stay inside on a windy day so he doesn't flap away?
You know what? I'd be happy if he just flew off with a kite. Yeah, absolutely.
So Peter asked, do you play the lottery?
I do. Not every week, but yes, when I've got the extra, I will. I do put the lottery on. I usually win, little amounts like £2.40 or £2.70. But yeah,
So Ted wants to know what it's like being a midget with a Giants personality.
okay, so I could answer the midgets. It's like I don't actually notice, like being that small around people until people make a point of saying how little you fucking are. And then as for a giant's personality, I would not. I wouldn't see. I don't see myself like that, so it's not a question I could really answer. I think I'm a boring old fucking fart. That's my,
Trust me when I tell you, you're not boring.
yeah,
All
I
right.
hear that a lot.
Jimmy asked, is that McLaren like the car?
Not like the car, but that's the proper spelling of the name. That is our family name. Yes.
Peter, that's a silly question. I can't imagine anybody that plays the lottery doesn't want to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course I would. I wouldn't tell anyone.
Ted wants to know if we can hear you say "All hail to the king."
Get to fuck. How was that? That was perfect. Get to fuck. Thank you.
All right. Bug says, is Queen Camilla doing well in her position for a mistress?
Do you know what? I'm going to respond to that one. Actually, yeah, I think she does. She tries to take the fuck over like mistresses do, and she needs to fucking step back and shut her gob. Like seriously, like keep the fuck out of the royal family.
All right, we'll get to your question in a second. Paul Bugs can pin it. My question before that, I've never been to Scotland, but it is someplace I'd like to go. Besides visiting with you in Scotland, if you're there, where would be the first place you recommend that I go to see,
Glencoe,
and why?
Glencoe. Scottish history wise, Glencoe is one of the most beautiful places to actually go. It's stunning with all the mountains and that, but it was also the home of the biggest massacre in Scotland. It's still got the old road, so if you can get onto the old road, come off the main sort of like highway that runs through Glencoe, and you get onto the old road, it is absolutely one of the best places. Second would be to take a drive up to Skye. And I mean actually drive, because you would go up through the Five Sisters, and the road just is windy and bendy, and it's just stunning. You actually would have to see it. So yeah.
That is something I'd like to do if I'm able to do it before I die. So just so you know, Scotland is on my short list of places I'd like to go visit, and I never have. Paul asks, and he said he might regret this. When you first met, what was your first impression of him? And be honest.
When he first got up in the box, actually there was no real actual impression of him apart from fuck me, he's English. Until he did the Rick roll, and I was like, me and you'll never be friends. And 7-8 years down the line, and here we fucking are, still the best of friends. So yeah, fucking Rick rolls. I got Rick rolled today, just so you know.
All right, I have to ask. Crow wants to know, because you live so close to Munchkin Land, do you know any Munchkins?
Yeah, Diva Las Vegas. Diva and I are the same height. In fact, actually, I think Diva's about an inch smaller than I am. So yeah, I was like, yeah, that's great.
All right, that idiot's gone. And I'll delete his comment. That's it, hit me wrong. Ted says, can you explain what the tunnels do that run under your home?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, sometimes when the wind's howling and the storm's coming in from, I live right next to the North Sea, on the east coast of Scotland, and if there's a storm and it's bad, especially if you get, because obviously we get hurricanes and things like that. We have the caves. So I live next to Macduff Castle, and the street I live on is actually Macduff. So I live next to near Macduff Castle, and they've got the caves underneath, and the tunnels, also from the miners and the mining that took place, run right up under the ground from where the houses are built. So when you've got the storm coming in, you can hear the wind howling through the tunnels, and it sounds like an absolute freight train is under your bed. It took like the first time I woke up, because I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "What the hell?" And it was like a freight train, literally right under the bed. And now I'm used to it. I don't mind the sound actually now. So yeah.
Jimmy wants to know, is there cliffs that you can push somebody off of in this area?
Where I live, absolutely. Yeah, you right off the fucking edge. Next time I'm out, Jimmy, I'll take you over to the cliff and I'll let you see the drop. So yeah, in fact, I think you've seen there.
Peter wants
Not
to know if you like cats and dogs.
not so much, Jimmy, where I am. Obviously Macduff Castle, and going down. You've seen. I think you've seen the steps that I travel down. Those steps there. That's them me coming down from the top of the cliff. all the way down to the bottom. So yeah. Do I like cats? I fucking hate cats. I hate cats. I fucking hate cats. I, I'm
Wow,
a
I
dog
didn't know that.
person. I'm a dog person. I'm just saying, I'm a dog person.
Peter wants to know now, have you ever been to Nottingham before?
I've travelled quite a bit in England, surprisingly enough, because obviously um, with the military and that, but I probably have and just don't really remember, to be honest. I was paying attention to the news the other day with Russia threatening to um, bomb flipping London, Leicester, and the other place was Mildenhall. And as I said to Teddy, I said, you know what, that name rings a bell. And yeah, because I went to the base there, I got taught how to solder. Surprisingly enough, I can solder at Mildenhall. So yeah.
Are there still a lot of castles standing, old castles in Scotland?
Oh God, yeah. Hundreds of the bloody things. Absolutely. Hundreds of castles. And you can actually go and visit. Urquhart Castle. I would have taken them down there when Paul and I were there. And I would have taken you in. It was a bit it is a bit expensive. It's about 25 quid per person to go into Urquhart Castle. But we didn't have the moment we went into the dip down to where the lock is, you lose all the signal, so we couldn't take anybody in to actually be able to see it, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah,
Nice. Paul wants to know what's your relationship like with motorway islands in his area?
okay. So, oh shit, I
Now,
follow the I follow
for those
sat nav.
for those of you that don't know what this means for Val, it's the same as me doing this.
Yeah, that's fuck off. Yeah, like fuck off, you know. But that's the Paul, so fuck off. So I use my sat nav, but here, when you get down, England, England's county councils have this thing for changing, and they forget to fucking update their systems. So I follow sat nav. It's the same when I go to Jeff's. When I used to go down to Jeff's, Paul's roundabout is you're coming off the motorway and you're coming up onto this roundabout, and it's got like about 10 fucking roads coming off it. The thing is, but when you come right, I'm coming up from, I've got like 4 or 5, but when you get to that particular one where you're turning off to Paul's, my sat nav, you turn off as if you're going into Paul's area, and his road is literally swinging left straight away. So you come
Right,
off the roundabout and you swing left straight away. But the sat nav doesn't take you there. It misses that road out and it fucking takes you on the next one. The amount of times I've gone straight fucking down that other one, I've even done it when Paul was in the fucking car until he was like, no, that the other one. And I've had to go all the way fucking, and it's a bloody nightmare. Same when I go down to Jeff's and there's one and it's shaped like a kidney. So I now know when I get to the little bumpy kidney bit, at the bottom end, I go straight on, not follow the sat nav. I fucking straight
right.
on because honestly, fucking England. Get yourself together. Just,
This ought to be interesting. Bugs wants to know how often do you have a pee by the road and the road crew?
okay, so once. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, twice. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Which one do you want to know about? Or both of them? I desperately needed a pee at one time. So when you're driving in Scotland, be prepared. Anybody that comes over to Scotland, be fucking prepared. We do not have um like gas stations on the side of the road like you guys do. Um they're just not there. Okay. So you have to go into a village somewhere and hope that they've got a gas station for you guys to use. So you don't have like the pit stops, truck stops. And don't. I was driving to Aberdeen, especially on the A9. You don't have anything like that. So I'll explain this other one. But yeah, I was driving up to Aberdeen and I said to Mike, I said, I need to pee. And we were going to try and hold it. And he said, I said, I can't. So he was kind enough to find a lay-by, and what he did was opened both doors. So I was between the doors. So nobody would see me having a pee. He stood at the other side and started giggling, and I was like, okay, what the fuck is he giggling at? Yeah, I had a pee. My ass, bare ass, was flashing to a whole train full of people because the train right at the other side of the lay-by was watching. I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, okay, Bugs. Bugs is. Oh, I'm driving down the A9 on the 23rd of December several years ago, and I needed to pee. And I'm grateful to this day that I was just the other side of Perth, because Perth is like a half-hour drive from home. And I had to stop. And it's the A9. It's 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. And I pulled into a lay-by, and it was a big embankment like this. And I climbed to the top, and I'm grateful that I made it to the top, and I actually got to pee first, because I'd have pissed myself everywhere else if I hadn't. I got to the top, I had my pee, and as I was coming back down, they'd have been drilling holes to plant new trees. Now, I admit I completely missed them going up, but I didn't fucking miss it coming down. So my left leg went right down into the hole. My right leg carried on going down the slope along with the rest of my body, and I snapped my thigh bone, which, if anybody's ever broken your thigh bone, Holy Mother of God, you'll not know pain, anything like this. Now I had to drag myself out of there, drag myself all the way back down to the car, and I needed to drive home. I drive manual. My
Oh, nice.
left leg is required for the clutch, and I had to put it into gear and just keep fucking going. I mean, I was revving the engine a little bit on the harder side, but because I did that, the muscles in your calf, and I don't know if anybody knows biology or whatever, the muscles in your calf and my leg took over. So my thigh bone was actually protected, surprisingly enough, but the muscles got so hard because they were doing the job of what your thigh would do, that it fractured my tibia in two places. So I had 3 breaks in the one leg, and I drove home. When we got to the hospital, they took way too long in which to plaster me up, because I refused point blank to tell the nurse, well, it was the surgeon, exactly how I managed to break my leg. She then decided that it was domestic violence and got the cops involved. So I had to explain to the cops that it was not a domestic violence. I was completely and utterly on my own when I broke my fucking leg. That was no, thank you.
So,
No, don't want to go through that again.
wait a minute, Connie, Marija, or whatever, however you say it. This is an interview. Put your hand down. No one else is coming up in a box. Ted wants to know, can you fit in the houses in the Gnome Village near you?
Teddy, I love you. Fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. No, absolutely fucking not.
You should like this question then. Kevin wants to know, what is blue waffle?
Kevin, it's called Google. It's a Google. It's a fucking Google it. So wait a minute now. Okay, I saw what Bugs had in the comment before we do the next question. Do you know what? You're quite correct. So yeah, that's 3 times I did pee in public. Bugs was over in Scotland about 4 years ago. 4 years past last weekend, actually. And we'd gone to Patrick Falls, which is a waterfall area obviously up in the Highlands. And I needed to pee. And I went to go and round this bush and have a pee, and happened to look up, and there was all the fucking roadworks were all there. So I ended up going into a little gully. Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Bugs. But what the fuck?
Okay.
Workers.
Paul says Blake asked why you didn't get bigger as he walked towards you the first time he met you.
You know what? That was literally Blake's first words to me. And I'm actually walking up a slight bit of a slope. And, like Paul, because that was their first time. They'd come to Edinburgh, but they'd gone out the wrong way because I'd said to them to come out, like out onto Queen's, instead of Prince's Road, to come out into the Queen's Road. And I'd had to go and park and then walk up towards and to find them. And I'm walking up, and Blake's getting closer and closer. And he looked at me and he said, "People get taller when they get close to you." I was like, "What? What the fuck?" That was my first hello. It wasn't like, "Hi Val, how are you doing?" or anything. It was like, people get taller, and I was like, "Fuck off." So yeah. But then again, I got my own back because I had to fit them both into a tiny little two-seater sports car. So
So Ted asked, why do you laugh when you pass cow farms on a trip?
Okay, so my husband has not got a good gag reflex. He can't handle strong smells. He can't handle them at all, and he gags. And we were driving to Ohio, and my bestie Bugs was driving, and Teddy was in the front. I'm in the back seat, mainly because let's be honest, I am small and I've got plenty of leg room when I'm sitting in the back of anywhere. The only thing that did me was on the other seat was packed with our cases and everything that we were taking with us. So when Teddy spent the time going, "Oh Val, look at that, look at that," I couldn't see fuck all. No offense, man. I like, it's one time I will admit to being little because I couldn't see fuck all out the window. What, like, stop telling me, look at that, look at that. And we came to, it was a silo, the farm, and they'd had the silo out, and he started gagging. And I started giggling, well, because I was like, "You've got to be kidding me. I don't mind the smell. It doesn't, I grew up on the farms. I was born in the farms. So it doesn't affect me at all." But a little bit further on, my bestie took a left turn. Now I know we were supposed to be going straight on, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then she took another left turn. That made me start giggling all the more. And by the time she took the next left turn, I was in stitches because my poor husband had not even realised that we were heading back to the cow farm. Yeah, that was one of the best fucking. No, sorry, honey, I love you, but come on, that was fucking great. I'm just saying.
Kevin asks, how many countries did you go to when serving in the Army?
Ooh, now there's a very good question. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever counted them. To be perfectly honest, I've seen half the world. I don't. I have never sat down and counted them at all. I've never thought about it. Do you know what? I wouldn't even like to try and hazard a guess.
Okay.
My favorite trips was actually the fact that I got to stroll around in America without a passport. Do you know what I mean? That was one of the highlights of my, because we did an exchange visit and we went to Camp Douglas in Wisconsin, and that was absolutely fucking great fun. Absolutely great fun.
Peter wants to know your thoughts on nuclear power stations in the UK. Do you think they're good or bad?
Um, it,
I would say, to me, if they're providing power, they're good. If they're melting down, they're bad.
See, the thing is, nuclear at the end of the day is not a good thing for anybody. See, we have our wind farms and things like that. So, what do we really need the nuclear power stations for now? Having said that, at the end of the day, you have this world population that think nuclear is going to be the best thing, because they use it they say for defense, but then they use it in which to threat. So no, get rid of the fucking lot. Let's get back to fucking basics.
Amy wants to thank you for being there for her at the worst time of her life. In follow up to that, I wanted to ask you, go ahead and say what you want to say to Amy, and then I got a question to follow it with.
Do you know what? That was one of the hardest times, not just for Amy, for myself as well, but there was the first time I ever hated not having my car, because that morning, when Amy called me first thing that morning, all I wanted to do was get in the car and just go, and I absolutely couldn't, and it was absolutely horrific, because I was stuck, and because I would have been there, I would have stayed with Amy the whole fucking time, and I would have annoyed Jeff out, like there was no tomorrow, mainly because he couldn't answer me back by that time. So yeah, I annoy the shit out of him. But yeah, Amy, you are more than grateful, and I was grateful to you and the kids, to be honest. Seriously grateful to you and the kids for that.
Now, my follow up question to that, I know for the people in here that knew Jeff, they either liked him a lot, loved him, or they couldn't stand him. There was usually no middle ground, but you always know where you stand. You always knew where you stood with Jeff. What would you like people most to remember about Jeff?
Do you know what? For all his mouth, yeah, he was a roaster, and he he enjoyed saying things just to get a reaction. But you know what? Jeff had the biggest fucking heart in the world. And sing his songs.
Yeah.
Sing the songs that he loved the best. He loved his music, no matter what. Sing the songs. He loved his karaoke. So yeah.
He even made an appearance a few times in my karaoke, even though he had to be up really late to do that.
Oh yeah.
Because when I was doing them on Tuesdays, my start time is like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
For you.
But he would be up like 24, 48, 72 hours straight. I mean, there was a time when he was up that late. He even forgot I was there twice. I came down in the morning and he was still live. He was in a live. He was still talking away. And it was someone else in the live, and they were like, "Is that Gigi in your house?" And he would turn around and go, "Oh, fuck, I forgot you were here." I was like, "What the fuck?" I said, "Feed me." And he says, "There's the kitchen." I was like, "Well, you fuck." Yeah. Yeah. If he was your friend, you're not, yeah, he was literally your friend. But yeah. I mean, yeah, he forgot about me twice. I mean, he
So
was, how bad he was. He would have actually smashed my windscreen just to stop me from going home.
Ted's question, and he says thank you for your service in the military. But his question is, what was your best experience during your time in the military?
What was my best experience? To be honest, I loved my job. Okay. The thing is, when I first started, we're going back to 1985. Do you know what I mean? My my service number, they don't even exist anymore. My service number is WO. So that lets you know. So it was WO 803-424. That's my service number. Obviously it's completely out of commission now. But back then you only had 3 trades for women, and that was in catering, in the medical field, or in administerial. Now, I was already a trained secretary back then, and that's exactly what I went into. I got a call from one of the captains that I happened to know, and he said, "We've got a post in at RAF Lookers." And I was like, "What the fuck have you got? What's at an airbase?" And he said, put in for it. Nobody else had put in for this posting. And I was like, what the fuck's wrong with it? Until I realized where it was. And I was like, shit, that's home. That's that's where I'm at home. So I put down, I got the posting, and I went there, as a private. During my time, I was known as Sapper P, because I was one of the first women to ever be integrated into the Royal Engineers. They decided that the WRAC was no longer going to be working, and women were to be integrated equally with
Yeah,
the men.
slow down on the questions, or we're going to end up losing some of them. And I try to get to all of them. Kevin wants to know what's the best country you've ever been to.
In all honesty, Germany. If I'd have known then the things I knew when I came back on, and the things I know now, I would never have left. I would absolutely never have left Germany. I have a step grandson. His name's Blake, and he came and he was like, "I want to join the army," and I was like, good for you." And I did try to get him to go into the engineers, but he chose to go into the infantry, and obviously his mother was not happy chappy with me because he wanted to do this, and because like when he came around, he was only a little boy, so I'm still going to work in in uniform. And there were times when we had shows and things like that. So I would take them. And,
Right.
like I showed him around the vehicles, and I would, like the big Terexes and everything. And he absolutely loved it. And there was times when, like if I had to babysit or whatever, I would take them to fucking work with me. And he got to sit around, and he absolutely loved it. So he joined the army, and he eventually came and he said, "Guess what, Gran?" He says, "I'm going to Germany." And he says, "What's it like?" And I just looked at him and I said, "Well," I said, "if you're wise," I said, "you'll never come back." I said, "You will love it." I says, "Keep an open mind." I said, "But go out there, learn the language." I said, "And have the best time of your fucking life." He never left Germany. He's still out there to this day. He met a German girl. They got married. They've got a kid. And before anybody says you're a great grandma, shut the fuck up. Okay. I refuse to acknowledge it. Her name's Sienna. So yeah, I do have a great grandchild.
Paul asked, if you were able to change anything in your life, would you, and why?
I've been asked that question several times, and I come back to the same thing. No, because I would not be who I am today. If anything was to change, I would not be who I am today. Actually, given that, yeah, I would not have listened to my fucking dad when he said he wanted none of us to test him for a kidney. My father died because he died because he'd run out of air. But he was in kidney failure. He was on dialysis, and I was already halfway through because my father had said he didn't want any of us getting tested to give him one of our kidneys. He didn't want
Right.
that from children. But things were getting bad, and I got halfway through getting through the testing, and before when he passed away, that I probably would have done a bit quicker.
I
I would have,
understand.
maybe ignored them. But as for anything else, no. There is one aspect to the job in the army that I got into in a lot later. That, like I said, I fucking absolutely loved it. I would not change it for anything. I would have probably tried to do that quicker because I had the best time ever. I literally loved my job. So yeah. And for anybody that wants to know, I was a technical support specialist. That was my home-based job. That was what my title was.
So Cookie Not Hey wants to know, is it true what they say about the size of a Scotsman's sporran?
Well, sporrans can be all different sizes. I'm just saying.
Okay. Crow wants to know, what's the best restaurant to visit in Scotland?
Restaurant. Any. any good old-fashioned restaurants, especially up in the Highlands, if you find the old cottage restaurants. But if you're coming up here, personally, I would say go visit the fish and chip shop in Stonehaven. It's the best fish and chip shop. Oh, Jesus, you're fucking making me say chip shop. Actually, chip shop. Okay, the chippy. I'm just going to call it the chippy. Yeah, the best chippy. It's still number one in Britain. And it's in Stonehaven. And it
Rockin'
is good.
Rockin' Horse 13, which is our friend Karen, wants to know, what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could?
What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Didn't marry that silly fucker. You see, again, yeah, because I would not have had my kids. The way things worked out for me, it was better for me to have had my children, because by the time I hit 23, it was absolutely impossible for me to have another child. By the time I was 32, everything was gone. I took not well, and everything went completely and utterly tits up at that time. So no, what would I tell my 18-year-old self? Invest more, invest faster, and hide money, because he was a mean motherfucker. So yeah.
Fair enough. Before I go to the next question, I wanted to let everyone know next weekend on the 26th of April, my guest will be Mr. Soggy Pillow, our friend Jimmy. And I'm really looking forward. We got some great interviews coming up, y'all. So I hope for those.
Payback, Jimmy.
Ted's next question is, can we get another cat?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely fucking not. No, Dead Steve is the only fucking cat you're getting. Dead Steve is the only cat that's going to be fucking allowed. And for Dead Steve, and for fuck's sake, Steve. Okay, that's the only cat. And if nobody knows, let me know. Okay, this is Dead Steve. This is the only fucking cat that we're going to ever have. Okay, and it's got the biggest balls in the world. Okay, I'm just saying.
Okay. A more serious question. What city would you say represents the heart of Scotland?
People outside of Scotland, they all know Glasgow. Glasgow. If you're doing, see, right there, Kevin. People know Glasgow. No. For me, it would be Fort William or Inverness, because that is taking you up to Scotland. Go to Perth. Perth is actually the heart of Scotland. Where else? I don't want to say this name. I really don't want to say this name. There's a place in Scotland called Bonar. Bonar, Bonar Bridge. Yeah. Glasgow, going up the west coast, anywhere up the west coast.
Now, I'm sure this is a question you've been asked a lot, but I'm going to ask anyway. Your thoughts on the movie Braveheart?
It was very, very good. It was very, very good. The only issue I had with it was how well Mel Gibson romanticized William Wallace. William Wallace was a big man. And if anybody's been to the Wallace Monument several times, you can tell by the size of his sword, because swords are made to your height. Swords are made to fit the person that has their swords. He was a very big man, and he was a fucking Hoormeister. He was an absolute Hoormeister. Do I need to explain that in English?
No, I don't think you do.
Yeah, no, he was an absolute Hoormeister. So yeah,
Ted wants to know, can you explain your Scottish pride?
How do you mean my Scottish pride? I'm a patriot of my own country. I'm proud to be Scottish. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my lineage. Um, so, in what way? I'm quite happy to stand up and proudly shout that I'm a Scot. You know, so
Yep.
pride is a really strange word in which to use. So
It's a personal thing too. I'm the politicians and the bullshit aside, I'm proud to be American. But I have no issue with the fact that you're proud to be a Scot. In fact, I would expect nothing less. Um, but to me that's a personal thing. So
okay, I see where Teddy's gone. Right. Yes, I absolutely adore Scotland. And the thing is, it wouldn't matter where I go in the world. It doesn't matter where I live in the world. I'll always belong to Scotland, no matter
right.
what. I will always belong to Scotland.
Okay. Peter wants to know, and I like this. I like the question. He wants to know if you believe the story of the Loch Ness monster.
I don't believe the story of Loch Ness monster at all. I believe in the Loch Ness monster. There's a big difference.
And what's the difference?
Because the Loch Ness monster is real. It's not a story. It's fucking real. It's real. So that's the big difference. Not a story.
Would you
There is
recommend it
something in there.
for people that come to Scotland?
Say that again.
Would you recommend for people that come to visit Scotland to make a visit to Loch Ness?
Oh God, yeah. Well, do you know what? The best person to ask for that one right now would be Paul and Bugs. There you go. Because I took them, but Bugs didn't get to see a lot of Loch Ness. She only got to see the start of it because we went up to Patrick Falls. But I took Paul all the way up to Inverness and drove all 26 miles of the loch. And we went to Fort William and had our tea.
Okay. Bugs asked, have you ever been haggis hunting?
Absolutely. You have to fucking go haggis hunting. If like, you're Scottish, you have to go the haggis hunting and you have to take them with. Actually, we should have done that when you were here, Bugs. I
Excuse me.
did, Karen.
Do you think the Highland Games are still relevant today?
Oh yeah, they're still big here in Scotland. And it's a caber, you lot. It's a caber, right? You toss the caber, no fucking telegraph pole. You're tossing the caber. I'm just saying.
Peter asked how you know the Loch Ness monster is real.
Do you know something, Peter? You would have to be Scottish to understand it. You would actually have to be Scottish to understand.
Papa Joe said it's the same way he is with Sasquatch. So I think he understands.
Yeah, see,
Um,
I believe in the Sasquatch. I believe in freckled yetis. I believe in like those things. But it's like the monster. Like I grew up with the Loch Ness monster, and every year we took a trip up there. The only thing we couldn't do, which I wanted to do with Paul, was go down on to the shoreline, and that's all been barred off now. So they've stopped people from going down to the shoreline, mainly for some tourists have this thing for dropping their litter and leaving it. In Scotland, as from birth, we're taught if you cannot find a bin to put it in, stick it in your pocket, take it
right.
home.
I do
And
that because it's wrong to litter. To me, that's common sense, but that's not very common anymore. Um,
yeah,
he wants to know if you've ever had deep fried Mars bars.
no, glucose isn't good for me. I've never actually that. No, I do believe that a lot of people like it. It's not something there.
All right. Peter says, have you actually seen the monster?
No, Peter. I've seen shadows, but Loch Ness is bottomless and does go out to the sea, so you have no idea.
All right, this old man Leo asks questions. His question is UFOs. So I think he's asking if you believe in them.
Yes, I do. Have I seen one? That's another a completely different story. That would be a lie we would have to have a conversation about. I would like to say yes, I have, and do I remember? Not really. There was just certain weird ways, you know.
I've never
Um,
seen, but I believe in them as well. I
yeah, I
think it.
believe I believe in aliens. So yeah,
I think it's the height of human arrogance to think we're the only sentient beings in the entire
there we,
universe.
yeah, there we go.
Well, I got one final question for you. Well, it's got a second part, if depending on how you answer it. Um, what is the national anthem of Scotland?
The official or the unofficial?
Both. That was my other question. Is that
Okay,
official or unofficial? So
the official one done by the Scottish Parliament is Scotland the Brave, but the unofficial that nobody, it doesn't matter where you go in Scotland, you know, like football or anything like that, you will never hear, even the Olympics, you will never hear Scotland the Brave.
right.
Everybody hears the Flower of Scotland. That's the one that everybody knows. That is the unofficial anthem for Scotland. And that's what anybody and everybody sings, even in Scotland. We don't, we just don't do Scotland the Brave.
That's been a quick hour, Val. I really want to thank you uh, for 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 your friendship, for uh, taking the time on my birthday to let me ask you questions. Um,
You're
and
welcome.
I could have gone. We could go another hour pretty easily. I know we could. That's why I say it's been 4 interviews. Every one of them has been excellent. Um, and I try to come up with original questions each time. So I hope I did all right with that. With
You
that for you.
actually, that was really quite good. And just in case anybody missed it earlier, I'm going for a shave after I get out of here. You know, like I'm just saying.
All right,
Happy birthday,
Val.
friend.
The last thing. Every guest gets to do a shout out. So here's your opportunity to do a shout out for who or whatever you want.
First off, the biggest happy birthday and shout out for Tank. Um,
Thank you.
my husband, Ted Dweebert, or at the moment he's Mr. Granny. My bestie, always my bestie, and my best pal that's there. Do you know what? To the whole of the fucking shocker crew, because I know I've got a mouth on me and I can come out and I can more or less protect myself, but half the time I don't have to because I have so many others that defend me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, thanks, guys. And I'm grateful and I appreciate absolutely fucking everybody. Um, do we get the fucking snowflakes and the dicks on the app? Yeah,
Yep.
but they're just not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. Amy, obviously, because even although we got caught giggling in the middle of the funeral, that's beside the point. And oh, thank you, sweetheart. Um,
Cookie's happy 21st birthday to me. Appreciate it. Cookie, it's my third one.
oh, so it is actually.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
63 today.
So
Thank you,
yeah.
Trude.
Um,
I want to follow that up. I want to shout out Paul because he screen records for me every week. Um, and lets me know ahead of time, even if I forget if he's not available.
hey,
And
Chief.
we really are a team in the way we work this, and I really appreciate him. Bugs, since you started pinning the questions, there's been a lot less confusion on that, and I really appreciate you for that. Um, a shout out for the Shocker Crew for letting me become a part of it. When I did, and Val, that's how you know your real friends, the ones that'll defend you when you're not there.
Defend me when I'm there and when I'm not there. So yeah.
When you're not as well. And I want to shout out the people that come every week and help support and help ask questions and make this interviews interactive. It really means a lot to me that you guys come and do that, and it's appreciated. Also, one last thing, I want to shout out everybody that's agreed to be my guest.
I know.
I had some truly phenomenal guests along the way. Um, last but not least, Val, I got to shout you out. You've been one of the best friends I've ever had. Um, every interview has been excellent, and I really do appreciate them every time.
You give me a wee red face now. Didn't be doing that now. What the hell's wrong with you? There you go. Pure Scott.
And with that, guys, y'all have a great rest of your day. As I understand it, we're going out for pizza for dinner for my birthday. So I'll see you guys later.
Nice. I'm going to go and have my rice now. Happy faces. Thanks, guys.
Take care, everybody.